But I just feel the pain.
Well,
Not why he was, why he will. Exactly. But whatever you lose, you lose. I don't care. That is really generous. Really good. It's so close to me. See, I'm not. I wonder what happened to you.
Oh, thank you, sir. Hey, I would drive that car. I like that car. I feel like that car.
It is beautiful. Hi, Charlie. Hi, how are you? Great, thank you.
Charlie loves it.
Charlotte. There'll be a slight delay until Mr. Bryant joins us. We've never had the nerve to start without him.
Even a prayer.
You're right.
Captain Stormwater.
Mhm. We could have started without him.
He was so excited after last week's presentation by that FFA team.
Y'all never waited on me.
You're just so excited after that FFA presentation. That's great. Yeah.
He gets excited when it rains. too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every so often, as long as it rains.
Think you fell coming down the steps?
I'm gonna check on him.
he was right there. I thought he was coming right down, so.
Who's behind you, DD?
He was right behind
He was
me.
right
He got
there. I
lost
don't know where he
on the way
went.
down, I guess, you know.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
yeah. He knows where they all are, too.
Mrs. Pritchard, did you see Charlie as you came through?
Chief, you want to look for him?
Do I need to go
If he's
find
stuck
that?
in an elevator shaft, you're going to have to get him out.
Well, we can always.
Surely he would approve the prayer.
Okay, you want to go ahead and start?
There you
Ah, there he is. Yeah. Oh, this is much more fun. Okay, welcome to the May 11th work session of the City Council. Marty Fulkerson will bring our invocation.
Let's pray. Our Father, we thank you for this community that we're privileged to live in. We thank you for the blessings that we get each and every day. We thank you for the employees that work hard to give the quality of life to our citizens. And Father, we pray a special prayer upon those graduating seniors here in our community. We pray that they will seek you in all that they do as they enter a new phase of life, that they will give you praise, keep them safe during the festivities and the activities that they'll be going to with their families, watch over them. And Father, be with our men and women to give us this freedom that we enjoyed today as they stand guard, giving us the right to assemble as a free body, and be with their loved ones as they wait for their safe return home. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Join us in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first on the agenda, we're going to talk about the Public Works Facility Master Plan. Mr. Reynolds, would you like to introduce these gentlemen?
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to start it out. Thank you all. I have Bill, Brian, and Brad from CMW. The Killer Bees are with me today to present the Public Works Facility Master Plan. We've been working on this for about 4 or 5 months now with all the staff, in the department heads and the staffs of the departments that are going to be using that facility. So they're going to walk us through the ideas that we've come up with, and then I'm going to get back up and talk a little bit about budget money and things of that nature. So I think Brian's going to start us off. And
I understand you all have a big agenda this evening, so we're going to try to be brief. Again, thank you. I'm Brian Hill, the president of CMW, and it's our honor to be here this evening. And Scott just said it's been a real privilege for us to work with the committee, including Charlie and Don Hill and Scott and others. And this started back 4 months ago. We've actually had 4 review meetings with the committee. Each time we got input, we improved on it. We came back with different ideas. And what we're going to present to you this evening is sort of the recommendation from the committee and us as to how to move this project forward. So with that, we're going to go ahead and start with some of the site development items, and Brad Boaz is going to take you through that. Thank you.
I want to talk about the site plan and what we've developed, and to help you all follow along, I provided a copy of the master plan for you all to see if you want to mark up and right now give me questions. To orient everybody, this is the existing conditions out at the Public Works facility. You have Mulberry Street to the north. Really, the facility is bisected by Waterworks Drive, which does not currently provide access to the park. You have the Valley Creek to the south, and then Waterworks to your west. And so currently, this is the existing operations building. Where you cross the street to the existing house, which houses the administration building, with the staff parking to the west, a little sign shop over here, and then you have the City Springs water plant in this area. This dark line represents the FEMA 100-year floodplain line. So while in general it seems very open, there's actually quite a lot of constraints to the site. Right here is a 100-foot utility easement where we wouldn't be able to put any future buildings. Down here south of this covered shed are a lot of the main sanitary lines that feed the plant over to the west. So while, again, it's very open right now, there are a lot of constraints that we've had to work around in order to fit all the improvements that the committee was looking for. So we'll move forward and transition to what we came up with as the master plan. In general, this is, there's about 24 acres. And one of the first things we'll have to do is relocate the admin building. Well, the admin building as it stands right now is really the last building as you travel down Waterworks. So if we move anything that the city has to do to the admin building where the public has to be, we wanted to move that as far west as possible. So that's really the front door to the Public Works. That's not going to be a rough and tough building like the existing operations or any future operations building. So with it being a little bit more decorative and aesthetic, we wanted that to be the first building as you arrive on Waterworks Drive. There'll be some visitor parking immediately in front of it, and then some staff parking along the edge. As I mentioned, there's a 100-foot easement here, and because we're going to put a proposed building where the existing parking lot is, we're going to need quite a number of parking spaces for the staff that's now and the staff in the future. So in that 100-foot easement, to try to take advantage of the space, we've put 75 parking spaces basically right through the center of the easement. One thing that we had a lot of discussion about was security. You've made a ton of investments in the equipment and the tools and the vehicles out there, but currently anyone could drive down Waterworks and really get into the parking lots, because it's a public street. they get turned around. There's a lot of heavy equipment around there. So for safety reasons and for security reasons, we felt like the entire facility, the entire complex should be surrounded by a security gate with fences and gates so that only people that are supposed to be in this area will be there. So to do that, one of the big things would be to consolidate Waterworks Drive up to the property line here into the overall property so that this becomes one contiguous piece of property. And that way, at the administration building, we can put a gate there so that if somebody's lost, they're not driving around the public works area, not there when they're not supposed to be there. So we felt like providing a perimeter fence around the entire facility would be a good move for security and safety. As I mentioned, we had the admin building here, and then directly east, across from the existing operations, would be the proposed operations building. Again, if this Waterworks Drive is closed, then we want to have the garages facing the former road here so that it's easy access for cars to get in, vehicles to get in, get serviced, and then pull out and go on either into the city or into some parking down here. A couple other things you have existing covered sheds here that are covering some of the more important vehicles. When the city did an inventory of all their equipment, we found that there would need to be some more covered area. So we were proposing 2 more covered sheds, really on the boundaries of all the improvements, covered shed A here and covered shed B here. And so all that fits within the limitations of utilities and easements and existing buildings to remain. And last thing, in dealing with the floodplain, obviously we can't put a building in a floodplain. So really this area here will need to be kind of raised up in order to come out of the floodplain. In total, there'll be about 10,000 cubic yards of cut and fill to make all this happen. 7,500 of those yards would be in the floodplain here. And so that's why we're showing areas of earth removal down here in the floodplain in order to not only achieve the fill we need, but also provide the displacement. If we take out 7,500 cubic yards, if we put 7,500 cubic yards in the floodplain, we've got to take double that out. So we have to take 15,000 out. And so that's why, in all this green space here around, there's a lot of utilities going through here. So where we're not in the utility, we're going to take that earth out and use that as stormwater retention, as well as just the volume that's needed in the floodplain. And so now Bill Pickering will take you through each building individually.
Hello, I'm Bill, and I'll go through each of the buildings that are being proposed under the master plan. The first is the administration building that Brad described, and it would be replacing the existing administration building. And working with the committee, this is a concept floor plan for the building. It takes care of the office space needs and also training needs for the Department of Works. The center core is an administrative core with administration, support staff, and files. Went through proposing a mobile file storage system to really be efficient with the file storage on site. This building, as defined at this point, is 87 by 118 feet, just over 10,000 square feet. It would have a cost with contingency at this time of just under $180 a square foot for a cost of just about $2 million. Again, as Brad noted, the public entry would be at the top of the plan here. This is where the public would come into the public counter and gain service. The next building would be the new operations building. And again, as Brad mentioned, that this is going to be located, it's proposed to be located in the existing employee parking and where the existing administration building currently exists. And so that would want to be, the first part would want to be developing the admin building so that then this could be developed. That new operations building would be a large one-story building. As you can see, very large, and that would be over 300 feet long, 53 by 328. And it would have a number of vehicle bays, 6 bays for public works, 3 for gas, and 3 for storm water. And stormwater, the one bay at the end, which is illustrated on the site plan also, it would be the one bay that would be a drive-through vehicle bay. All the other bays being pull in or back in and pull out bay. A central core, which would be a shared space for all the staff working, lockers, some showers, restroom, a break area. And again, the estimated cost at 119 a square foot would be just over 2 million, 2.2 million. The next building is the renovation, some renovation of the existing operations building. The existing operations building is a 50 by 200, and what we're looking at is on the north side of the building, this area that's hatched, there's a lot of, the building has experienced quite a bit of rust corrosion, part of that due to the salt that's been washed off vehicles. And this is just an example of, this is a secondary structural member where it's completely rusted through. So we'd be looking at on this north wall, especially primarily, is removal of some of the secondary structural members and the existing exterior metal panels, replacing with new metal panel with new secondary structure where required. There's about at least 2 or 3 vehicle bays that would require that the overhead door, that the secondary structure would be replaced. And because it's an existing welded connection type of frame, it's going to be simpler to just to cut all that back to the column line and replace new. Again, this building existing is just over 10,000 square feet, and we're projecting, based on the scope of renovation that's been defined, at just under 175,000 for the renovation cost. Again, there would be some renovation. We're going to be in one maintenance bay, would be developing one bay that currently all the bays are back in or pull in, back out. We developed one bay that would be a drive-through bay for maintenance. Again, this has got 6 bays. We have 6 bays for maintenance, 2 for parks and 2 for plant maintenance. Then we go to, as Brad mentioned, there was an evaluation done of the equipment and vehicles that are on site and how they are parked, whether they're parked out in the open, whether they need to be undercover, or whether they're going to be inside a facility. And so we developed an evaluation of the storage sheds that are required to keep the equipment undercover. This is the larger, what we call storage shed A, which would be located behind the new operations building. And that would be, again, a metal building system similar to the sheds that are out there now. It would be 220 by 45, just under 10,000 square feet. And what we did, you'll see with the second storage building, it's a little bit smaller in size. What we did is configured the 2 buildings to address the vehicle types, the lengths of the equipment that would be stored, so that they would be to be able to get fully undercover. As you can see, there are some equipment vehicles that would take that whole bay depth to store to get fully undercover. Again, the estimated cost of this is around just under 44 square foot at just about 473,000 for this shed. The next shed, the second shed, would be, as Brad noted, was located up in this area where it's existing equipment storage at this time now. And that shed is a smaller shed, 30 by 150. Again, a metal building similar to the sheds that are out there now. Slightly lower cost, again, because the building is a slightly smaller structure. But again, at just over 200,000 for the cost of that building. So again, we've gone through that there would be the administration building, proposed operations building, renovation to the existing, and the 2 proposed new equipment sheds. This is a summary of the costs of each of the buildings that we just went through, the proposed buildings, the renovation of the existing ops building, and this being the summary total. And I think Scott was going to talk a bit about this at this point.
Thank you all. We just want to talk about this project I'm going to go back a page. This project lends itself up for us to phase this over 2 or 3 budget cycles instead of trying to tackle it all at one time, because we need to build, there's a sequence of order that we need to build things. So the first thing that we would like to look at is building the proposed admin building, because it's when you kind of need to get it out of the way first to be able to build the operations centers. And there's going to be quite heavy site work package with that as well when we're looking at that. And then over the course of the next few years, phase in the rest of the construction and get to the final master plan in 2 or 3 years down the road, whatever you all decide. So we're going to open it to questions from there, if you all have any.
Are those offices in the administration building, are those all offices all the way around?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We have that many employees that have offices in Public Works?
Well, it's Public Works, Gas Department, and Stormwater,
Gas and all that.
and Stormwater. We're going to consolidate all of
Okay.
those into that area.
Once the master plan's done, Scott, it would take us how far out into the future?
I'm speaking for other departments here, but we've been in that admin building since the 70s. So this facility, we're hoping will last that same length. I hope not to build another Public Works facility while I'm here. So hopefully y'all keep me around for a couple more decades or so.
I won't speak out of turn, but in every one of those meetings, there was a lot of discussion about anticipating needs in the future. And so there was some growth.
Scott, in the proposed master plan, do you have any figure on how many square feet is proposed versus how many square feet we have right now?
I don't have, do you have any idea what's, I'm going to let Don speak to that. I'm sorry.
The existing administration building is 1,320 square feet. The existing operations building is 10,000 square feet. So when you look at the addition and when you look at the amount of offices, Councilman Fulkerson, there was several offices once you got past the supervisor's area. Those are future use.
Okay.
Now, you could have other departments come in, or it could be for expansion of gas or stormwater or public works. I know that IT department might be interested in some area down there. So again, you know, there may be two people that might move down from IT.
Would all those offices be finished out completely at the?
No.
station?
No, there would be walls, but would they be finished out? No, I don't believe so. Not until we determine what usage would be for
We
each
have
one.
options moving forward.
Right. That's the good thing about the way we've got it proposed.
So when we're talking about taking the gas pump, we're talking about taking Matthew Hobbs down there. We're talking about, I guess, Gerald and them would go down there, or Gerald stay here.
We haven't talked
Robert
about Gerald
And
moving. Now,
this group goes.
not necessarily all of Robert's operation, but his parts of the stormwater operation, we could move it. I mean, part of the reason for leaving it here is because they do permits. So we're
Yeah.
trying to keep things centralized for the public that needs to do permits. So I think the way we see it right now, part of stormwater would still stay here. But as we said, we're creating space, Public Works. I mean, they are really squeezed into that 1,000 square feet. So Public Works, Gas Department, probably some IT. We've got more and more needs there for space for them, and just trying to leave some future growth potential there.
Scott, or Don, I think Scott mentioned that obviously we would be looking maybe 2, 3, 4 year phase in overall. Do you think that the and Scott mentioned the administration building probably would be the first?
Yes.
Yeah.
It would need to be in order to remove the structure here and then to be able to do the field work that needs to be done in the parking area and in the back behind
Okay.
that in order to move forward to build the proposed operations building.
And you would say that that would take precedent over the existing operations, I mean, the
Yeah.
proposed operations building?
Yes, the proposed operations building is then going to serve 4 departments of public works. You got sewer, you got sign shop, because that structure is going to have to come down.
Okay.
And then you've got one for street services, one for street construction. Sewer will have 2 because we've got 2 large pieces of equipment that it's sensitive to have them in indoor storage versus a covered storage. So then once you move gas and then stormwater, because stormwater is in a rental location right now. So once you move those departments and when gas moves out of the existing, then there's area for parks and recreation, which is in a rental area right now. We're renting places for them. So it has to run like, exactly like everybody's explained, is the admin building, operations, then remodel or whatever you choose in phases.
Could we go back to the slide with the total cost on the master?
Yes, sir.
master plan? If we were to start with the administration building and the operations building would come in after that, I would imagine the site work would have to be
Yes, sir.
done at
We're
the
going to have to
beginning
put
stages,
this,
too. I don't know what kind of contingency amount that you would expect on a job like this, but wouldn't most of your risk for a contingency occurrence occur on the front end of this? Because those sheds, there's not a whole lot that can go wrong with building those.
most of the contingency for this project is going to be in the site.
The site work.
The site, because we'll have to get soil samples to see what kind of soils there are down there, what kind of compaction we're getting on those. So I think, you know, if we hit a utility we didn't know was there or something of that nature.
Okay, so you've already got those contingencies built in.
Yeah, I think we have
Yes.
10% contingency in all these.
But it seems like most of the risk would be on that front end.
Yes, sir.
As far as.
Yes, sir, it will be.
Now, if you gate that whole area that you're talking about, doesn't water district have to get back to the back of that?
They
property?
would, we would work with them to get them, to get whatever, if we decide to do, if we did padlocks or if we did access cards or whatever we decided to do for that, yes, ma'am, we would get them those, whatever it is.
Are we doing the demolition of some of those existing buildings that need to go, or is that in
I
one of the
think,
site development number?
I think the houses are gone. Is that?
Well, we're talking about the office, the
They're
old
not all gone.
public
Oh,
works office
yeah.
will have to be.
Anything we feel we can do, demolition, anything of that, we will pick up in the plans.
Yeah, we did the demolition work on the house the city bought last year.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought we demoed a house. Sorry.
No, and it was down within a day. And then we
Okay.
had it cleaned up. We just sowed the grass seed and straw.
Okay.
And the site number has an allowance for demolition.
Okay.
There will be potential for the city to use its own forces to do site work. Maybe not all of it, but
Okay.
certain things.
I see we're going to adhere by the policy of take out, put back. We struggle getting everybody else to follow.
Would, Don, would all of your equipment be under roof with this master plan? What about our new mulch grinder?
No, it's down on at the multipurpose storage facility. It's designed to be outside. Now, what we looked at in the evaluation of the equipment in the different departments, we identified what equipment needed to be indoors, which for us would be 2 pieces of sewer equipment because it's got water in the tanks. And, you know, you had to be out in the winter, you had to be indoors. And then there was some that was identified as covered storage, which is what the sheds are indicating. And then some equipment was just, we needed an area for outdoor storage, really a place to park. So, I mean, you look at the amount of money that's invested in equipment, and if it's sitting out in the weather, obviously, I mean, the equipment's being used as out in the weather, but just to sit there overnight and sit idle or whatever. So there is some need for covered storage. Now, you know, we can continue to evaluate that as we move forward with the project.
What's the square footage on the training room now?
The new one, for the new plan is 1,100.
We've included in the administration building a training room because we see more and more needs to do that. And although we have a good deal with the community center, it still would proposing to take up the space and use that for training in this building. You can see it right there.
Just kind of want to describe how you don't go through the rest of the building if you come in.
Right, yeah. One thing we've looked at is the training facility for the guys coming in, the guys in the on public works. We've given backdoor entry, so they're not coming through the public area. To allow them to get in there and do their training and get back out. So, but we're looking at making this room smaller. smaller. The plans are being developed, but the final master plan will include that little bit smaller.
How much does it cost to close 24 acres?
Well, they're already, there's a lot of things out there right now. So if you want to go back to the master plan, I'll show you where the bulk of that would be. Would be really right through here. You know, this fence is all existing. And then there's a fence that comes down here. And so we'd add really this fence and this fence and then crossing the street.
So it's not big.
So it's not
Oh,
all.
okay.
Yeah, that kind of.
Yes, sir. Good question.
What about the two houses that are still there that we don't own? We tore down one and we have the other two there. They're,
Those two, we will look for the opportunities to purchase those in the future. Nice to have them, because obviously that would close the whole site down to any external use.
But we're prepared to function with them there just as well.
Yeah, we're great, taking great pains with the committee's help to work around that, the very reasons you are saying, and still make it very viable.
Obviously, whenever those are obtained in the future, then you have that area between the administration building and on down that direction for additional development. But that would.
We can
If
do
you
it.
did that, you might have to move your gate.
We can move another operations center here if we have that need in the future.
and by doing this proposal, everything that we have property rented, where we're renting, all now becomes.
For stormwater and parks and recreation. Yes, ma'am. I mean, I don't know. I don't know who else renting facilities, so, sorry.
But as far as this.
Yes, ma'am.
everybody's here.
Yes, ma'am.
To me, it looks very, very thorough and very, very
Yeah,
long range.
CMW's done a great job of working with the staff to get us where we are, and they're very, the first thing they asked me was, when can we purchase those houses? And I said, we're going to work around them right now. And they do a great job. They really do. And we appreciate all the help they've given us.
I know Public Works has got to be excited. I can remember it's probably been 8 years ago that we first started talking about the need for Public Works, and you know, it's kind of been put on the.
We toured around, looked
I
at
know.
different facilities, and this is a really good plan CMW's come
We've
up
made
with.
do for a long time, and I know we've always put it on the back burner, and when you consider the cost of the equipment that we've got down there that we leave out most of the time and things like that, I'm excited about that.
Cindy and I and Tony were with Charlie the other day and went down there, and it's packed.
It is.
It's tight.
And we've made do, you know, we've patched here and that. I mean,
It's going to be tricky construction wise to leave this facility open, because it's a 24 hours a day facility.
Very,
and
very thorough.
We're going to have to really work with the contractors really well to make sure everybody's still functioning.
We'd like for you to realize also, this is a master plan. You took the whole side and said, okay, how can we make these pieces fit together? Which, as Scott said, CMW has done a really good job in working with all of our wishes and all of our comments and all of our requirements and non-negotiables and whatever you want to call them to fit these things in here. And it is a master plan and trying to be very progressive as far as looking 30 and 40 years into the future. The existing buildings, the operations building over there, it was built in 1973, and I think they moved in early in 1974. So, you know, it's lasted more than 40 years, but, you know, it's been squeezed and it's beyond its capabilities now, especially when, you know, we've added more equipment, but we haven't added more area to work on equipment. So we always, anytime you go down there, that garage area is full of vehicles and equipment being worked on, and which means not only more space, more equipment, more space, more people to make sure that they are operating in the future. But we're just trying to get the basics down, understand what space we have to work with and what the capability of getting, what size buildings we can get in there. So that's what they've done for us. And as they mentioned also, because of the operations that we're dealing with, we have some opportunities here to phase these things in, whether it's 3 years, 4 years, or 10 years maybe on some of them, who knows?
Or year one. I mean, either way, we can.
Do the two houses limit us anyway on moving the dirt and that kind of thing? They don't affect that?
I don't
much
think that'll affect us because
elevation-wise?
we're really looking behind them. These areas that they've had outlined,
Right.
that's where we're going to be.
So they
Getting
won't really
dirt.
affect the.
No, they're not going to be. They're not going to be affected at this time. No, sir.
It'd be nice to have those two though, wouldn't it?
It would have helped us out,
Yeah.
yes, sir. But the constraints are the constraints, and
We're fine.
we feel.
Yeah, we don't need it. Hey, when we go to take bids, is it gonna be closer than it was on the pool?
Yes, ma'am.
You are
Well-
not kin to Branson or Carroll. Thank you. They're just that.
Well, let's next phases. While you brought that up, we need to decide what pieces and parts we're going to build. If we're going to build next budget cycle, what pieces and parts we're going to build, because our contract with CMW is up after this, and we need to figure out what we're going to build, and work with CMW. And I think if you all remember when we talked about the master plan, is getting CMW and Icon both involved, and they're both great to work with. CMW is great to work with. Icon is as well, and figure out where we go. Obviously, CMW, we'll probably look at them for the admin building and the site work because they've been very heavily involved in that. So that's what we need to figure out is what direction we're going to go and when we're going to
Part of
hire.
the Budget process.
Hopefully
Yes.
we'll know that in a week.
I hope so. I just was pointing that out
Yes.
to you all, that's the next phase. So
Thank you very much.
You all
Were
are
there
welcome.
any other questions? Is that it? Thank you, Scott. Thank you all very much. Ben LaRue.
Bees tonight, it sounds like. Hello, everybody. How y'all doing?
Great, Dan.
Good. I'm here to tell you downtown has its mojo back. Can you believe all the good things going on in downtown? So we want to keep that mojo going. We want to keep it going for the long term. And we really think to sustain the momentum for the long term, we need an entity who's focused on economic development and all the activities associated with economic development downtown. Can't speak tonight. So it's a full-time job. We need an organization whose only goal in life is to do those things. We think it needs to be a partnership between the community and the city, governed by a board of directors that would include leaders from the city, the business community, and also groups that are already doing great things in downtown already. So it'd be a very inclusive group of people working on the project. There's been two studies commissioned, the City Vision Study and the Geist Study from the Tourism Board, that both recommended an entity like this that would help for the long-term downtown. So that's just a broad overview of it. I hope you will give that some consideration. Any questions?
How does this work with Heritage Council?
It'd be very inclusive. What we envision the Heritage Council being integral to the group as it is. So they would be on the board of directors and they'd be very involved day to day with everything they're already doing and helping otherwise.
And then there would be one board of directors. Is that
One
correct?
board of directors. Yeah.
So this isn't a replacement for Heritage. This is focused on this development, downtown development you see focused on downtown development versus some of the other events that we're seeing.
It's really economic development is the primary purpose, but all the activities that are associated with that. And the Heritage Council, we believe, is part of that economic development effort with all the things that they do. They're already doing great things downtown, and that just makes it easier for the economic development side of it. So they have to be involved, and we really want them to be involved. So it's a very inclusive effort, not exclusive at all. We want to focus on that. So it's just focus on coordinating all the activities together toward a sustainable economic development downtown.
Then with this, and again, I don't know, would this be a corporation, a board, an LLC? What structure or?
That's a good question. The way we see it being put together would be a partnership between the city and the community. It would be a nonprofit corporation, 501c3, and the board of directors would be from all these different groups and also from the city. And the benefit of it being a 501c3, everyone can contribute to the whole and make it work better. So that's a good question.
And this board or this group would be responsible for bringing in development, bringing in the restaurants or finding the people to fill the buildings.
One of the issues, we have people talking to us all week long, every week about downtown, how excited they all are, but no one knows what group to go to. So we believe that this Downtown Development Corporation would be the go-to entity for development downtown. And we really don't have that right at the moment. And that's a big part of it.
Yeah, I guess the key is having a central person or group that the developers or people that are interested in coming will be able to know the properties and how to match it
Sure.
up.
Yeah. But it's exciting downtown right now. We get calls every week about what's going on. So everybody's done to date, everything you all done to date is great. We just think this takes it to a new level and makes it better. So we hope you'll consider it. All right. Thanks.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you, Ben. Ed Pope.
Talking about downtown, wanted to update you all on one of the projects that we're involved in, and that's the property next door with the High School Basketball Hall of Fame. As you all know from the agreement that the city approved, they had to meet certain thresholds before we would transfer the property to them. They have now met those thresholds that you all established based on their fundraising, putting financing in place. So we have now taken the step from the city standpoint to honor the agreement. We've done the asbestos removal in the building. We've had the property and the ground surveyed, so we actually know what the city owns and made sure we can transfer good and clear title to that organization. So we've done that. So we're in the process now of the deed preparation. So in anticipating the deed being prepared, in keeping with our partnership with them, they've talked to us about construction fees and the plan review that the city has to do. And of course, to keep their costs down, they would like the city to waive those fees for them. We meet with them on Wednesday to do a walkthrough of the building, do a little bit more work on their budget from a cost standpoint. So hopefully in the next week or two, we'll have those numbers, and I can then put specifically in writing to you all what those dollar amounts of waivers will be. But they'll relate to the plan review that our office would typically do, and then the construction permit and the electrical permit that we would issue. So like I said, we continue to work with them, getting a little bit closer now that we've completed the survey work. And like I said, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we will actually be transferring property to them. So then they'll approach us about permitting and beginning construction on the phase 1 renovation of the building. And like I said, we wanted to make you all aware that in our discussions with them, we will receive a request from them that those fees be waived. And it's something similar we've done for other nonprofit groups that we've worked with. So I don't think it's any surprise to you all that you're hearing that request. But like I said, as soon as we know more on the cost, I'll be able to tell you, okay, the plan review fee would have been $1,000. That's what they're asking us to waive at this point in time, because we don't have some of the specifics on square footage and cost. I can't tell you that, but I will before the formal request is made to you all. And what we would anticipate doing then is bringing a municipal order to you all, which we would outline the fees to be waived and ask you all to vote on it that way. Like I said, that's the way we've handled things with other nonprofit groups. That's the way we've handled things with Habitat, specifically down in the Haycraft neighborhood. So like I said, we'll give you a little more detail in the next couple of weeks, but anticipate that it'll probably be early June. We'll be coming before you all and asking for that.
Any questions?
The only question I would have with regard to the Basketball Hall of Fame would be to Mr. LaRue, and when you all are talking to prospects for downtown, is the Basketball Hall of Fame part of the discussion? I mean, is that a, I'm hoping that's a positive thing, and that's part of your talking points, and
Sure.
we're hearing a lot of chatter about that, and things like that.
I will say, Mike Polio and them were at the tourism meeting last Wednesday, and one of the exciting things that we heard from them is that this really isn't a museum anymore. Yeah, he made the comment that once you see Adolph Rupp's coffee cup, you've seen Adolph Rupp's coffee cup. So, their price tag's changed a little bit because of it being more interactive. And, the company that they have chosen to work on this, really, the deal will keep it changing. And so it's more interactive than just looking at a basketball or something. So, which is exciting because that was one of the concerns is once you've been there,
Would you go back?
would you go back? And as long as they keep it interactive, and that's more popular with museums. So.
Well,
kudos
we
to them
went
for
to
doing it.
Lexington for the announcement of the class this year. They showed us, and it's a lot like, when you go to the Derby Museum and watching the screen. It's pretty exciting.
Kind of got like getting in the parking lot.
Get in the parking lot. Only if there's a video, so we could do that interactive, Thomas.
Mayor,
Yeah.
I think if Ed would, they could go ahead and give information, what we have about the ribbon cutting, groundbreaking, not ribbon cutting, groundbreaking.
So right now, tentatively, the groundbreaking is scheduled for June the 2nd, which is a Tuesday. So we're moving ahead with that effort also to try to keep that word out, like I said. And so hopefully we'll have deeds prepared and property transferred and throw a little dirt over in the grass area next to it, even though we're going to do the renovation of the building, but have a groundbreaking ceremony.
I think I understand their contractor is preparing to move in around that time
Yeah.
also.
Yeah, Stuart Ritchie is the company they're going to be working with out of the Houchins Industries.
Okay. Kind of ready to go into the budget? Let's hit it. Yeah.
Study it carefully. Yeah, it is too bad that we can't. But
Yeah.
it's just annoying. They'll not want it. So, the other guy will come around. Yeah,
I got to sit there though. Because I picked it up on-
Is it? The one who's underwater? Oh, the other- Okay.
You're allowed, you're one to go see the one. One looks like it's.
I was